While in there we got a really eerie feeling after being in there shortly. Hearing weird and strange things. Feeling like we were being touched. What is the creepiest thing that's happened to you personally that made you question reality? Talking with my son when he was 3 or 4 years old while he was playing with a Darth Vader toy in his mom's lap. Talking about the Wiggles or Barney or whatever. Completely unprompted, he said nonchalantly, "Dingo cold. Dingo cold." And goes back to playing with his Star Wars toys. I asked him what he said, and he denied saying anything with a giggle. My wife very clearly heard him say Dingo cold too. I never told him about my childhood best friend, Dingo, being killed in an avalanche 10 years earlier. I'm debating on ever having kids now. I'm the type of person who keeps my bedroom door closed and locked all the time, no matter what, even if I'm home alone. So like a year ago, it was 1 a.m. and I had decided to get a glass of water before going to bed. After coming back in my room, I swore that I closed and locked my door. After about 30 minutes of me dozing in and out of sleep, I suddenly felt all the ambient noise completely dissipate and immediately got that something feels off feeling. I got up and saw that my door was wide open. It scared the crap out of me as I was home alone. I've just chalked it up to being a one-time mishap on my part.
Similar experience here, only I never had a lock on my bedroom door. I went to bed as normal, fully shut my door, all lights off, alone in the house, slowly drifted off to sleep. Woke abruptly a few hours later, all snug in bed as usual, with my door wide open and my bedroom light on. I didn't even use the main light, only the lamp which was by my bed. It was such a mundane change that at first I didn't really feel anything except vague confusion, but as I got more awake and my sense of memory firmed up, I started to feel a bit creeped out. Searched the entire house top to bottom. Twice. Double-checked all the doors and windows. Nothing. Eventually decided I must have just somehow done it myself and not remembered, something that has never happened before or since. It's strange to say, but I do remember the weirdest part being how unweird it seemed, until my brain woke up enough to take it seriously.
When I was 19, I worked third shift and was a little paranoid. I would take different routes to and from work, just in case. One night, as I was driving to work, I saw what was the stereotypical death, black hood, no face scythe. It was just standing in a field, leaning on the scythe, and watched me go by. I freaked. Once I got to work, I called my best friend and told him. That way, if I died, someone would know. Work went fine that night. I forgot it after a few nights. A week or so later, it was the same route on rotation, but to go home, instead of going to work. I was involved in a head-on collision that temporarily killed me. I woke up a week later with extra parts and a lot of damage. My best friend asked me what route I had taken home, and I lost it because it was the route I had seen death on before.
I and my family saw a black cloaked figure for months back in the summer of '99. My dad didn't, except for once while crossing a long bridge coming home one night. Tall, black cloaked figure, I think he even said he saw the scythe. In the evening of October 24th that year, he heard what he described as dogs yapping weirdly, not like coyotes, but just strange. He also heard his mom calling for him. The next morning he had a fatal car accident on the way to work. I had the strangest experience of an almost golden sense of well-being, and like a massive weight was lifted off my shoulders while sitting in the waiting room. I felt like I was going to float away and that everything would be all right. Several minutes later is when the doctor came in to tell us he didn't make it.
There were two. The first one was a UFO. I saw a light streak across the sky, make a 90-degree turn and streak away until it vanished. Years later I learned that it was probably just an asteroid breaking up. Put that one to rest. Once, when I was about 8, we were driving along a road in the back country, and I was staring out the window, and in the distance in a field I saw a silvery/green glowing cloud that was completely unnatural. It suddenly moved, almost ran, towards the road, then up a tree just as we were passing it. As we climbed a hill, I saw it drop from the tree onto the road and float back into the fields. I've watched The Ring back in 2003 or 2004. Parents were out and it was late. I love horror movies and generally I am not the one who was frightened. A couple of minutes after the movie ended, the landline rang. 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. Landline had no display or whatsoever. I tentatively answered, but there was no sound, nothing. I hung up and my heart was almost bursting out of my chest. A few moments later it rang again. Was my aunt asking where my mum was? Man, these moments I was like, That cannot be. Edit. Since a lot of you are asking. Was nothing to worry about. Aunt and Mum have a sleep disorder and apparently it was almost daily business to catch up. I didn't know since I'd normally be sleeping at that hour.
I worked at a small retail shop that sold mostly small accessories and clothes. I have never really believed in ghosts, but my coworkers always swore the place was haunted. Lights would flicker randomly and canvases would fall violently to the ground despite my efforts of propping them up so that they didn't. The thing that really made me question everything happened when I was closing alone at night. We had a sunglass display in the middle of the store. Just a flat glass shelf with a bunch of sunglasses laid out nicely on top. I walk past it to the register and hear this huge crash. Look back and all of the sunglasses were on the floor. It looked like somebody just took their arm and dragged it across the shelf, pushing them all off. There wasn't anything above the display, so nothing could have knocked it off. I don't have an explanation for it. It was right as I was about to close too. He was a rude ghost. I dreamed it was dark, raining, and I was in the woods walking towards a campfire. There were 3 men around it whom I had never seen before. One was wearing a shirt and pants with huge white and black horizontal stripes on it, such as a prisoner might wear. I could not figure out why I was not scared in my dream. Fast forward 10 months later, we're hunting and camping. A friend brings along 3 of his friends that we had never met before. I have to go to the bathroom, buried a 50-gallon drum and put a seat on it, and my husband walks with me since it's dark. We start back and it starts to rain. We get to the clearing and there are his 3 friends around the fire, one wearing the outfit described above. I wasn't afraid in my dream because my husband was behind me and I just couldn't see him. No one believes me.
At least 6 times in my life I've gone home. I know I locked the door, but when I'm about to put my key in, the door opens like someone was expecting me but no one's there. It's happened at my mom's house, my house, and other people's houses. I was helping my buddy move into his new house, and when we came back with more stuff I had to pee, so I ran to the front door and it opened. When he came in he said he locked it before we left. Don't know what it is, but maybe it's a superpower. I would have chalked this up as a dream, except I know I was awake because I really had to pee. I woke up in the middle of the night, having to pee really bad as mentioned above, and from my position on the top bunk I could see into the hallway. The bathroom was right across the hall from my bedroom door and also right in my vision. I was just starting move to climb down and go to bathroom when I saw, heard, and felt the footsteps of a man coming down the hall and going into the bathroom. I thought it must be my dad, but that was strange because he and my mom had their own bathroom. Even stranger, he didn't turn on the light or close the door. So after a while I got annoyed because I really had to go, and I called out to him. No answer. So I finally climbed down and switch on the light and find an empty bathroom. I had definitely seen a figure, heard the footsteps, and felt the vibrations of the footsteps of a large man come down the hall and go in there. I was about 10 when this happened, but I remember it so vividly because that is freakiest thing that's ever happened to me, paranormally speaking. Edit. Alrighty, as many of you have pointed out, the needing to pee isn't really good evidence of being awake. I am certain that I did at least get up and relieve myself, as I later awoke to an empty bladder and no pee in the bed. As I've mentioned in the comments, I've always been a vivid dreamer from a young age, and have always been able to tell the difference between dream and reality after the fact. Except in this instance. I've even had plenty of dreams of similar occurrences, but they've all definitely been dreams. Ain't no proof by any means, but I distinctly remember being awake. Posted this before, but thought it would fit here too. By my hometown there was a hiking trail that people went to very infrequently. It was along the side of the Niagara Escarpment, so it had some climbable cliffs, and some very shallow caves that you could crawl around on. I went with some friends when I was 19 or 20 and we were crawling around and found a cave that went pretty deep. We had never been in there before, had never even seen it before. So we pushed forward and decided to check it out even though we had no flashlights, and this was when cell phones didn't really have a flashlight function. We stepped into the cave and it was easily 20 to 30 degrees cooler than outside. Upon looking around with which light we had, we noticed it was really clean inside the cave, as in it didn't have beer cans littered everywhere like all the other small caves did. While in there we got a really eerie feeling after being in there shortly. Hearing weird and strange things. Feeling like we were being touched, poked and pulled, and not having any way to figure out who was doing it because it was too dark. We were just using lighters to see what was around us. We were convinced one of us was messing with the others. Although any time we sparked up a lighter, we were all decently far apart. We decided to hightail it out of there after only a few minutes, convinced to come back with flashlights. We came out to see that it was now dusk outside. When we entered it was midday. Somehow we had lost roughly 3 hours inside of this cave. We went back with flashlights the next week. But have never been able to find this cave again.
Like and subscribe for more of the darkest Reddit confessions.